Okay, we're here for the Highpoint Hillclimb race on May 4th, 2024. We're watching Kristen Kulchinsky's record-breaking first place ride from her GoPro, my GoPro, from her handlebars. Hey, Kristen. Kristen's here with us.
Hey,
How's it going?
pretty good. Feeling good.
All right, champion of the day. So we got about 30 seconds, 40 seconds to the start. What's going on in your mind right now?
Right now, my heart rate is instantly getting very elevated, but I tried to take a few deep breaths like you tell me to, and I was just waiting my turn, getting ready for my first time to be held and go off.
You've never been held at the start of a race before.
Nope.
Good thing we practiced in the parking lot.
Yeah, because you definitely gave me the right position to start. You said you would probably want to start a little 3 and 9 o'clock.
Exactly. Yeah,
Yeah.
That's one thing. You were at the 12 and 6 o'clock position with your feet.
Yeah.
When you're getting held, or even when you first start, you want to have your feet more towards the 3 or 9, maybe even a little bit higher on the foot that you're going to press down. But that's an important thing because you get that first pedal stroke down, and then you can either clip in if you're not being held, or you press down and you can just get quicker momentum.
Yeah.
So here we go. At the start, you cranked it up. This is the first
I
time
did.
I'm actually looking at your watts right here. You were up there.
I did.
300 something watts. That's like 6.5 watts per kilogram here.
I figured I would use my little bit of like nervous energy for the start of the race to my advantage, and then I knew I would settle in about like a minute, or like right now.
All right, there you go. What
Yeah.
were you settling in? What was your pay? What kind of watts did you want to hold?
I wanted to be like 260, 270 average. A little more, a little less for most of the climb.
For the whole race?
No. I we spoke in detail about the course and what to expect, and you had said to me, try to do great power for the first 20 minutes, and that's what I was trying to hold.
Yeah, so we reconned the course the day before. We did the bottom just once, but then when we got up into the park, we did 3 laps on the upper part. And you can kind of see the elevation of the course and the little green thing on the upper right here. And at the beginning of the course, you're on this main road. There's no like turns or anything like that. So you can put out a little bit more power than you can at the top. So that's what we were thinking. If this is going to be, according to Strava, 24-minute effort, you want to think about this. Well, Kristen went in thinking of it as like an FTP test, a 20-minute test, because you're going to make up most of your time, in that first 16, 18 minutes, and less time towards the top. So.
Yeah, I mean, I'm glad that we reconned it a few times yesterday to get comfortable with the ups and downs.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, so what do you a couple few minutes in at this point? It's 173 beats per minute. What's that like? Is that a good heart rate to be at right now? Or?
Yeah, I was actually shocked it was not, like usually I think I would be a little higher just from nerves and being outside, but I felt really confident in my, like once I settled in, I feel like I just felt very in my element, and I was just breathing and just really just focused on getting to the top as fast as I could.
I'm watching your watts, and it's pretty nicely consistent here, right where you want to be.
Yeah.
When you're breathing, how do you breathe? Do you think about breathing a special way?
I don't. I think it's just for me, even, on my esports and being inside, I do find a natural like rhythm that is good for me. Just easy in, easy out. Of course, gonna huff and puff a little bit, but I try to keep it like a consistent like in and out.
You try to just focus on the rhythm of it.
Yeah, like especially for me, I usually listen to music, so now when I'm outside, I just like get into the music and rhythm of my breath and focus on that.
Yeah, I focus on rhythm too. I also focus in on breathing out as much as possible. When we usually never have a problem breathing in, but it's that stale air deep in your lungs that can kind of just sit there if you're not breathing out all the way. And that's where the oxygen and carbon dioxide transfer is going to happen, is the deep down at the last little bit of the lungs. So I'm sure you're breathing in and out all the way. Focusing on your rhythm will help as well with your pacing. So 177, 176, that's about what you averaged for the race, right? So you're at your average cruising heart rate.
I mean, I knew, like you had discussed and told me, the slight downhills were going to kind of take the average watts that I was kind of focusing on. So I knew that would be like the points of recovery a little bit.
Yeah, that's one thing that we did talk about. There are a couple of places not early on, but like in the first 2/3 of the course before you get into the park, especially towards the top at like the 16-minute mark, but even before then, where the gradient goes down, you can see the gradient in the upper left. The green little icon there is the gradient, where it levels out a little bit. Sometimes it even goes downhill a little bit. So, like in that idea of turning this into like an FTP 20-minute or even a little bit less than that it turned out to be. To really go for it, and try to hold a really good 20-minute power, because if there are any moments where maybe 179 beats per minute, you're starting to get up there a little bit. In those flatter parts, you can soft pedal, and with your physiology and your strength, sometimes you only need 10 or 15 seconds of soft pedaling before you can really feel like you're back under control, because you're so aerobic. So we really decided to really push it at the bottom, and it really worked out too. I think for 16 minutes until you got to the first like major flat part, your normalized power was 270, which is like 5.4 watts per kilogram.
That's good,
and that's really good, especially outside. So 180 beats per minute. Let's keep an eye out, because if there's a flatter part,
Well, you gave me some good visuals yesterday to kind of keep an eye on the road. So also when it was just like going to go back down, like a slight downhill, I knew, okay, let me bump it up a little bit, because I know I can recover a little bit on the downhill. Because you had said like, oh, you're going to see the lake and all that. So
179, 180, that's up there.
Yeah.
But you can hold this for a while. But
I didn't.
That's like right for. I think that for you with 180, that's that's above your hour heart rate, probably just above your hour FTP heart rate. But this is like whenever I see on Zwift that you're at 180, I'd like any more than that is like the red zone. So you're like borderline right there, I think, at this point. Do you think so?
I think so, but I also think I knew that a downhill was shortly going to come.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So I knew,
so
okay,
you're right where you want to be.
Yeah. And funny enough, like I didn't look at my heart rate as much as I thought I was going to be looking. I really was kind of just focusing on the road, but glancing down here and there.
It, yeah. Oh, check this out. So here you are, 1.7%. You're down to 190 something watts. You're at like almost down to 0%. So we'll watch your heart rate. Yeah. So you're under threshold. Your threshold is probably like 250. So you had your 10 to 15 seconds there under your threshold. You brought your heart rate back down to 178, which is about what your average. So
Yeah. I never felt in the red where I needed to be like, whoa, what's my heart rate? I felt really great the whole time, because sometimes I can work, especially last summer when I started doing some of the hill climbs, my heart rate felt high. I was able to work at the high heart rate.
Well, that's good.
Yeah.
180 again, but if we were looking at this course profile, it looks like there's another flatter part coming up. So as expected.
Yeah.
260 watts, 270 watts. Down a little bit, but going down to 1%.
Yeah, it was a really fun course. I had such a blast on it. I really enjoyed it, the profile.
Yeah. Oh, -%.
Yeah.
Cool. Oh yeah, I remember this section here. So -%, 22 miles an hour, 23 miles an hour. What are you doing at this point? Your watts are coming down, but what do you focus on when the speed goes up?
I was trying to get as low as possible to not hit the wind, and I also knew a steep part was coming, so I was like, let me get as much, free speed as I can with the momentum to push me into the next uphill, bring my heart rate down, recover slightly, and then be ready for the next climb, which is still kind of, it's going to start to rise.
Yeah. Looks like there's one more kind of step before you get to the biggest flat part. So you knew that there was a big flat part coming up where you could really recover if you really needed it.
Yeah.
So did you have that in the back of your mind for this section here? Like you were going to really push it, or? Yeah,
I was just trying to keep the watts consistent on a higher side, knowing what was to come in the future.
Yeah. 260s here.
Yeah. And I knew there was going to be a steep part.
280. Oh, 287.
I felt good. I felt good though. I will say, there was not one time that I felt like I was pushing it too much.
Today you were the hammer.
Yeah, exactly. I felt really good.
Hammer time.
I mean, maybe it was because, maybe last week's esports race got my heart ready for crazy heart rate.
Oh yeah, you had a wicked high heart rate.
Oh man, don't ever turn a fan off while you're riding indoors.
Oh my God, amateur move.
Torture. Getting ready for that heat training. But yeah, I was feeling good. Sometimes I get excited too when you see people in the distance, and I think something overtakes me, and I'm like, must pass as fast as possible. So it's really fun to chase something. I think that really gave me like an extra like oomph in my step.
Oh yeah.
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 Did you ever feel like when you overtook somebody that you went too hard?
No, I didn't.
Okay, that's
no,
good.
I felt
300 watts. So here, 350.
Yeah, I knew a downhill was coming.
So yesterday, if you look right now, we were saying like, oh, look at how beyond the trees there's like no land mass. So, and it looks very flat. We know that there's a lake. So when you see that, the lake is probably right there to the left, which it is. And if the lake is there and you're going along the lake, it's going to be flat.
Yeah.
So that's how you can remember. Also, obviously, you have your, you could just know that it's at a certain distance or whatever. But, it's easy just to see cues and things like that.
Yeah.
So here you are, -% here. You're at 181 beats per minute.
Yeah.
So getting an arrow again, bending your elbows, shrugging the shoulders up, head down. 175 watts, you're going to start to see your heart rate come down, I'm sure.
And at that part, I
29,
knew...
29? You're spun out on your climbing
I
bike.
was. And at that point, I knew, like, for me, it's get up that little... It was steep right there, so I was like, let me get it as much as fast as possible and recover here, because, the downhill, even though I pushed 29 miles per hour, isn't my strength, just with my weight. So, yeah, I spun out a little bit. Which is saying a lot for my legs, my RPMs. Felt good though.
That's good. Still flat here, basically, plus or minus, 1%. This is a big, flatter section, but it looks like it's going to kick up here around this right-hand bend.
Yeah, and what was going through my mind right here was just recover, get ready for that section, and
Yeah. I'm watching your watts though, and like you did a great job keeping the power on. You know what I mean? Like you're not. I never. Not too much. You were like 200 to 250 for a long time there. Sometimes I forget what I probably couldn't find this article again, but I swear to God I found it. It was looking at the intensity, the best intensity to clear lactate, and it's not as low as you think it would be. Like it, for sure, if you wouldn't want your legs to stop pedaling. That's actually worse than pedaling your legs to clear lactate, clear lactic acid, hydrogen ions. It's a lot higher than you think it was, and I can't remember. I think it was like 75% or something like that. It was like a tempo wattage.
Yeah, I remember you telling me that. It was interesting.
Yeah, so for you at 200 to 225, that's a good kind of tempo sweet spot.
Yeah.
Recovery, which is good because obviously you keep the power on, you're going to go faster, and physiologically you don't even have to go down that low to get the best recovery. So that was a good flat section that you had there.
Mm-hmm. I think also at this point I looked at the time and I was like, oh man, okay, I kind of had a point. I had a time in mind and I knew, okay, I'm doing good and almost to the 20 minutes, but let me keep going and putting the power out.
Man, oh man, good thing that there are so many people here. I'm glad you stayed safe. You were out on that road there.
Yeah, there was one point where I looked and made sure there was no cars, because they were, at this point I was actually like, oh, should I go on the inside or the outside?
I know.
And I was like, he's so far over, now I'm going to have to go all the way over in the road. So I think at that point, I was like, okay, let me go to the left.
Yeah,
but
you should definitely always go to the left.
But he was so far over. I was now in the road, and I was like, if there's a car, I'm going to get,
Yeah.
Yeah, but I felt safe, which was number one important thing.
He probably didn't expect to be passed.
No, and then I was like, let me really pass
So
him.
now you're way over to the right?
Yeah.
So you learn, we practiced this yesterday, especially in the park coming up.
Yeah.
To create the shortest distance to the finish line, when it's a bend to the right like this, you want to get over to the right as far as you can. When it goes to the left, you want to get over towards the left. So you can actually shave off distance in your time trial by getting to the inside of bends like that. But when you're on the road like this, another thing to watch out for is glass and debris. A lot of times, the further over to the right you go, there's going to be more stuff in the road. So you just want to be careful of that. Oh man, I'm glad that they had these cars stopped.
Yeah. Oh, I was kind of like, oh my gosh, do they know I'm coming? Because I knew
That's great.
I knew they saw that guy, but I was like, I hope they know I'm coming, and it was great. I got a little nervous. That's why my heart rate, you'll see it spike. I was a little nervous.
Yeah. So left-hand turn there. There were some rumble strips in the middle of the road. There's a little frost heave right, boop, there that you hit, but that wasn't a problem.
And then I knew, okay, we're entering the roller coaster. And by the way, it was so helpful to watch you yesterday. Being able to be behind you and how you did the turns, because visually it helped know where I needed to position myself.
Yeah, exactly. Kind of taking a straight line to the inside of the next curve.
And
so you have the toll booth, right hand turn.
And I knew, okay, this is like the fun roller coaster part, and it's all in and use the momentum and speed, and it's just fun.
And at this point too, like there's a little bit where for you being a little bit newer on the road, especially, where you might kind of soft pedal a little bit on some of these turns and some of these downhills. So that's why we thought to try to set a 20-minute power best with that intention, because up here it's a little twisty turny. There's some downhill sections where you wouldn't gain a ton of time. Most of the time that you gained, I'm sure, was up to this point here. So here you are, it's bending to the left, you're on the inside and the left. We were also looking at the steepnesses of the inside and the outside of the turns too. Sometimes on the inside of a turn, on an uphill, it can be a lot steeper than the outside. That particular turn, it was basically the same.
Yeah, I think my fear going into this part was thinking, oh my gosh, am I going to have to pass a lot of people on these downhills? But I knew in a race setting, I was going to just have that adrenaline and not be, overthinking it and just
On your left.
Yeah, yeah. And at some points, I didn't want to press my brakes, so I just stopped.
Yeah.
Stopped pedaling.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I felt good.
And this is where it kills your average power. So that's one thing that we knew right off the bat was that overall, the whole race, it wasn't going to be a power best.
Yeah.
Because of this section here, especially.
Mm-hmm.
And like you said,
I stopped pedaling. Actually, yeah.
it's not even like you on this part of the road that is maybe stopping pedaling. Maybe you were going to bump into people that would force you to stop and be careful to pass them. So again, we threw out an average power goal for the whole race out the window.
Yeah.
Right away. Whoa, 3:30.
This was really fun. This was such a fun part. I really enjoyed it.
Yeah.
And I think one of the guys I passed, like on the downhill, he like blows past me, and it was like back and forth. But I had started a minute behind him.
Yeah. Well, that's what happens with you at 50 kilograms. Like when it is downhill, the heavier people are going to go faster.
Yeah. That's the guy I passed. And then he just went by. But
this was one turn here on the inside that we did notice was a little bit steeper. So.
And I had no choice. I had to go to the left of this guy.
You can't go wrong. To the inside, it's a little bit less distance, but the outside is not as steep. And on that particular thing, you probably want to take more distance for less steepness anyway.
Yeah.
So.
I think I told those people, I'm like, I'm on your left.
You did, yeah, I remember. Yeah. So I think there's one more downhill. It kind of goes to the left a little bit, and then you have the right-hand turn. Yeah. What were you thinking about setting yourself up for this right-hand turn coming up?
Right now, I was like, okay, this is going to be, I'm going to pick up a lot of speed right here, and I was like, I'm going to have to make that right turn. I knew that there was 2 potholes, which, funny enough,
31.
or great enough, they covered them up. They actually filled them.
Oh, good.
Yeah, so we knew I was going to have to go in between them or to the left of them.
Here's your right-hand turn.
Yeah, but you'll see.
So you start to the left here.
Yeah.
All right.
And then I was
and
like...
then you went more to the inside, and then you went between those two
like
potholes.
Right like you said.
I knew you were going to be between them, but they filled them up anyway. That's good.
And then it was go time, and I just was like, all right, cool.
So you probably got
right
a couple of minutes to the finish line at this point.
Yeah, I think so. I think it was like a minute.
So 370, 380, 400 watts, 420?
Yeah.
Holy cow.
And I was sitting. I didn't stand. I could have probably smashed it
God.
more. I kind of was
This
just...
is like 7 watts per... No, that's like 8 watts per kilogram.
Yeah. I was comfy just sitting down.
7 watts per kilogram.
Yep.
6.3, 6.
Now I was like, all right, this is going to, empty the tank.
Yeah. And luckily, I'm going to be around this turn telling you which direction to go.
Yeah.
Look at those happy little clouds.
Oh, yeah. So such.
Oh, here I come. I'm up on making my famous. There on the right. I'm going to point. Yeah. Go that way. The finish is over there. So at this point, you can see the finish.
Yeah.
Maybe not in the video, but there's an orange cone. I think that's what I yelled. The orange cone is the finish line, and I said 30 seconds.
Yeah.
What are you doing at 220 here?
Well, it was in the wrong gear. It was.
Oh, you're switching gears?
Yeah, I was switching gears, and then the same guy was like, "Oh, man, let me sprint to the finish."
Oh, man. All right, look at these clouds. And then there's your finish line. Bam.
Yeah.
And you knew right away. You're like, holy moly, I did 22 minutes, 22 something. A minute faster than the previous fastest time. Mm-hmm. First place on the day, women's record, Strava record.
Yeah, it was. I was really pleased. I was really excited. Broke the record. By the way, we had chatted after the race. The guy was like, "Oh, it was so cool going back and forth." So it was super fun. Great crowd. Everyone was so nice. And I just felt, number one, just really excited and proud about my personal performance. I feel like everything went. There's so many things that are out of your control, and you can, look at that view. Beautiful. But I felt like we went in with a plan. I stuck to it. It felt great. And yeah.
Oh, yeah. And the day before, it helped to do that top part, the very top part where it was twisty and that downhill and that turn a few times, right? Because you got the confidence to know, because sometimes you can't see around a turn and you're like, oh, how tight is that turn? You know, are there any bumps or anything like that? So you kind of go in a little bit slower, you might hit your brakes, but you did that a few times and you learned, you knew that you didn't have to hit your brakes.
Oh, yeah.
Except for maybe the right-hand turn, but before that, right? So that saved you time.
Yeah, because the first time we ran through the whole course, I did press my brakes quite a bit because I didn't quite know around the corners. Oh my God, it's going to be a really, steep, like sharp turn. And when we did it the first time, I was like, oh, okay, it wasn't I've got this. And then watching you really helped, and then studying the final turn really helped a lot. So yeah, I felt really good. I was pretty excited. Again, awesome day, awesome course. It was so fun. I loved it.
Super fun.
I loved it.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, right on.
Right on. Natural. Oh, there you are.
Here I am.
Yeah, and so nice. Brought my jacket and my water.
You know what? This is my first race that I've been to. You got to be warm and you got to rehydrate because you didn't have a bottle in
And can I tell you one thing?
Right.
Can I tell you one more thing?
All right, we can edit it out if it's no good.
No, I literally, last year when those first 3 races were my first races, and I was always nervous, and you said, I got this and this and that. I really went into this weekend just being like, I don't have to worry. Everything is, he's done this a million times, and all I have to do is listen and show up and ride my bike.
So easy at this point. You can only do what you can do. Mm-hmm. You just do your best. Just make sure that at the end of the race, you don't say, oh, I could have gone harder.
Yeah.
And then anything other than that is outside of your control. Mm-hmm. Lady Luck, fate, Clotho is responsible for that.
But I really think it helped my day of nerves because I knew, remember last year I was like, are we going to be, what time do we have to get the registry? I just really was like trusting, and just, it really helped just the whole day excitement.
Well, there you go.
Yeah. Right on.
Right on.